Zara sat at the long teak table, fork in hand, face calm as a still lake. She looked every bit the perfect guest. Warm smile, graceful in her fusion attire, laughing softly at the English small talk. But when the conversation turned, and the family thought the outsider couldn't follow, they switched to Korean. Patriarch Kim Tae-sung leaned forward, voice low and venomous. "She's beautiful, I'll give her that. But she's not the kind of woman we marry into this family. Our Mumbai empire needs pure blood, not some foreign distraction that could unravel everything we've built." His wife nodded sharply. "Look at her. She doesn't belong here. Our grandchildren would carry her mark. Tainted. Min-jae, you know what you have to do. End this quietly before our rivals in Delhi smell weakness." The sister smirked. "She's probably after the ports, the money. These types always are." Min-jae, her boyfriend, the heir, hesitated only a second before murmuring back in Korean. "I'll handle it, Appa. She's temporary." Every word sliced through Zara like hidden blades. She understood every syllable perfectly. She'd learned Korean years ago in Busan, kept it buried like a weapon. But she didn't flinch. She didn't react. She just kept eating, eyes down, heart quietly breaking, and something fiercer rising in its place. They had no idea the woman they dismissed in their own language was about to turn their world upside down. The rain hammered Mumbai's chaotic streets like a relentless drumbeat, turning potholes into mirrors reflecting the neon glow of Bollywood billboards and shop signs. Zara Thompson, a striking black woman in her late 20s with coiled hair tied back elegantly and eyes sharp as obsidian, stared out the tinted window of the black SUV. She had come to India 2 years earlier from Lagos, Nigeria, chasing dreams of curating African-Indian fusion art exhibits that bridged continents through beauty and story. Little did she know her path would entwine with Min-jae Kim, the polished heir to a hidden empire built on shadows. Min-jae sat beside her, his hand gently squeezing hers in reassurance. "Nervous?" he asked in his smooth, accented English. Zara smiled, her full lips curving with practiced calm. "A little. Meeting the family is always big." But inside, her heart raced. Not just from anticipation, but from the secret she guarded closely. During a university exchange year in Busan, South Korea, she had immersed herself fully in the language, mastering Korean fluently through classes, street conversations, and endless nights of K-dramas and textbooks. It was her quiet power, a tool she had used in art negotiations and international deals, and now, perhaps, in matters of the heart. The SUV glided to a stop before the Grand Bandra Villa, an architectural fusion of Korean minimalism and Indian grandeur. Clean white marble walls etched with intricate jolly screens, surrounded by lush tropical gardens and guarded by discreet men in dark suits who blended into the monsoon mist. As they stepped out under a large black umbrella, the downpour soaked their clothes in seconds. Min-jae laughed lightly, pulling her closer. "Welcome to the Kim residence. My family's traditional." Zara nodded, her red sari, woven with bold African geometric prints, clinging to her skin in the humid air. She already sensed deeper currents. Whispers about Min-jae's family business had floated through Mumbai's art and expat circles. They called it shipping and logistics, but ports in the city often meant more: control, influence, danger. Inside the villa, the air carried the mingled scents of burning incense, sizzling bulgogi, and warming spices. The family waited in the grand foyer. Patriarch Kim Tae-sung, a stern man in his mid-50s bearing a faint scar across his left cheek from old battles in Seoul. His wife Ji-eun, poised and elegant yet with eyes like polished steel. And the younger sister Hyejin, sharp-featured and quick with a barbed smile. They greeted Zara with formal bows and measured English pleasantries. "You must be Zara," Tae-sung said, his voice low and gravelly. "Min-jae has spoken highly of you." Zara returned a slight bow. "The honor is mine." As they moved toward the living area, Hyejin leaned close to Ji-eun and murmured in Korean. "She looks striking, but can she survive in our world?" Zara kept her expression serene, pretending the words had passed over her unheard. Min-jae led her on a brief tour through the sprawling halls, rooms lined with Korean celadon vases displayed beside Rajasthani miniature paintings, hidden safes behind silk screens, security cameras discreetly placed in corners. Memories surfaced for Zara, growing up in the vibrant markets of Lagos, learning early how to read people's intentions like market prices. Then Busan, where the language had come alive for her in everyday exchanges and quiet study. A friend once asked why she never revealed her fluency casually. "Knowledge kept close is knowledge that protects," she had answered. Now, standing in this house of veiled wealth, she felt that protection might soon be tested. In a quiet alcove lined with orchids, Min-jae pulled her close. "My family left Seoul years ago after complications with rivals. We've rebuilt here, import-export spanning Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore." His gaze held shadows, hinting at truths he still withheld. "I want you in my life, Zara. Forever." He kissed her gently, reigniting the fire that had grown between them over months. Stolen evenings along Marine Drive, sharing Veda Pav under streetlights, slow dances during Diwali celebrations. Zara leaned into him, but a quiet warning echoed in her mind. Secrets, even shared ones, breed betrayal. Back in the main hall, the family watched them return. Taesung sipped from a glass of soju, murmuring to Ji-eun in Korean. "She's charming, but outsiders always carry risk. Our operations cannot tolerate leaks." Ji-eun nodded once. "Min-jae is blinded. We must test her loyalty." Hygiene smirked. "If she's fragile, she'll break soon." Zara, pretending to admire an antique vase, caught the fragments and kept her breathing even. A soft bell rang, calling everyone to dinner. The storm outside grew louder, but the true tempest waited at the table. The long teak table gleamed under low chandelier light, set with platters of cultural fusion. Korean barbecue glazed with tandoori spices, kimchi mixed into chaat, fresh salads dressed with African-inspired peanut sauces Zara herself had recommended. Seats were taken, Zara opposite Min-jae, who offered a reassuring wink. Conversation began lightly in English. Praise for the food, talk of Mumbai's endless traffic, her upcoming art exhibit. "Your work blending cultures sounds truly fascinating," Ji-eun offered politely. Zara smiled warmly. "Thank you. It's my passion to show how worlds connect." As glasses filled with Indian white wine and Korean makgeolli, the mood shifted subtly. Taesung lifted his glass. "To family bonds." They clinked, but soon the family slipped into Korean for side comments they believed private. Hygiene leaned toward her mother. "She eats like someone who's never seen real cuisine." June gave a small laugh. "Her skin stands out so much. Our bloodline needs to stay pure." Taesung's tone hardened. "Min-jae, she's a clear liability. End it before she learns about the ports." Min-jae paused, then murmured back, "She's good for me, Appa, but temporary. I promise." Zara's fork froze for a heartbeat. The words struck like knives. Racism wrapped in practicality. Betrayal from the lips of the man she had trusted most. Yet her face remained calm. In English she asked lightly, "The rain is really coming down now, isn't it?" They switched back to English smiles, unaware. Inside her, something unbreakable began to form amid the pain. The dinner pressed on, but the foundation of everything had already cracked. In the brief silences between courses, Zara's thoughts drifted back to the beginning of it all. 6 months earlier, at a crowded Mumbai art gala in a whirly gallery, Min-jae had first approached her display booth. He had been drawn immediately to a sculpture she had created, Nigerian wooden masks fused with delicate Korean hanji paper layers. "It's powerful," he had said simply, his eyes lingering on her work and then on her. Their conversation unfolded effortlessly, moving from art to culture, ambition, and the strange beauty of living between worlds. Dates followed quickly, quiet picnics among the green trails of Sanjay Gandhi National Park, where he had shared fragments of his family's story, exile from Seoul after business complications. A new life built in India's vast, chaotic embrace. "We came here for a clean start," he had told her, the words carrying just enough truth to mask the rest. She had fallen deeply. His quiet charm, the vulnerability he showed only to her. In a rented Goa beach villa one weekend, under a sky thick with stars, they had made love for the first time, bodies and promises intertwining. "You're my anchor in all this chaos," he had whispered against her skin. But chaos had always hovered close. Unexplained late-night phone calls he brushed off as urgent deals. Faint bruises on his arms he attributed to workouts or accidents. Zara had suspected the mafia undercurrents long before tonight, yet she had loved him enough to push the doubts aside. Now, seated at this table, those doubts roared back to life. Returning to the moment, Hygiene passed her a steaming dish with a smile. "Try this. It's an old family recipe." Then, in Korean to the others, "She probably won't even appreciate the subtlety." Zara accepted the portion gracefully, tasting the irony along with the flavors. Taesung guided the conversation toward veiled business talk. "Mumbai's ports have never been busier," he remarked in English for her benefit. Then, switching to Korean, "The latest shipment out of Delhi came through clean. No traces left behind." Jiyoon responded softly, "Excellent. We can't afford prying eyes right now." Their glances flicked toward Zara, who kept her eyes on her plate, feigning absorbed interest in the food. Min-jae shifted in his seat, visibly torn between worlds. He attempted to bridge the gap. Zara's next exhibit next month will feature strong Korean influences in her installations. Taesung gave a curt nod, then muttered in Korean, "Influences? She'll only dilute what we've preserved." The barbs continued to accumulate. Her background, Nigeria? Too unstable. She'd sell information the moment pressure hits. Min-jae offered weak defense. "She's loyal to me." Taesung pressed harder. "Then prove it, or cut her loose before she becomes a problem." Zara felt heat rise in her chest, but her expression stayed neutral, almost serene. In her mind she catalogued every detail, names of contacts, routes mentioned casually, timelines. Revenge was no longer a distant idea. It had begun to take shape. As dessert plates arrived, crispy jalebi spirals drizzled with warm Korean honey, the talk turned more personal. Jiyoon asked about Zara's family. "I'm from Lagos, a big, loud, supportive clan," Zara answered warmly. In Korean, Jiyoon replied to the table, "Supportive? Probably desperate, always looking for a way into money like ours." Hygiene added with a quiet laugh, "Marry her? The thought is ridiculous." Min-jae muttered, "Enough," but even he let out a nervous chuckle that stung Zara more than the words. She excused herself once more, stepping out onto the covered balcony. Rain lashed against the railing, soaking her sorry further as tears finally mixed with the drops on her cheeks. "How could he let this happen?" she whispered to the storm. After a long breath, she straightened her shoulders and returned to the table, composure restored, resolve sharpened. Taesung lifted his glass for another toast. "To unbreakable family bonds." Then, in Korean, "And to removing any weaknesses that threaten them." Zara rose slowly to her feet. In perfect, clear Korean she answered, "To families that destroy themselves with their own hate." The room fell into stunned silence, glasses hovering mid-air. The words lingered like thick smoke. Min-jae stared, voice cracking, "Zara? You speak Korean?" She met his eyes without flinching. Every single word, every single insult. Taesung was the first to recover, his scar twitching. "How long have you understood us?" "Long enough to know exactly what your business really is. Smuggling through the ports, extortion in Delhi, laundering in Bangalore." Panic spread across their faces like ripples. Jiyoon hissed, "This changes nothing." Zara's gaze hardened. "It changes everything you thought you controlled." Zara turned fully toward Min-jae, her voice steady despite the tremor in her chest. Temporary? After everything in Goa, after every promise you whispered in the dark. He reached out instinctively, hand trembling. I was under pressure. They've been pushing me for months. You chose silence. You chose them over me. Tears traced paths down her cheeks now, but she refused to wipe them away. She recounted the slurs in a low, deliberate tone. The comments on her skin, her background, her supposed weakness. The casual agreement from his own lips. Your hesitation was louder than any defense you never gave. Hygiene tried to interrupt. You're blowing this out of proportion. Zara cut her off sharply. Prejudice wrapped in family loyalty is still prejudice. And it's ugly. The table felt smaller, the air heavier. Taesung's hand tightened around his glass until his knuckles whitened. You think you can threaten us? Walk away now and forget what you've heard. Zara shook her head slowly. I've already seen enough. Shipping manifests left open during one of your casual visits. Names tied to known Delhi syndicates. Routes that avoid customs for reasons no legitimate business needs. She listed them methodically, watching color drain from their faces. You assumed my silence meant ignorance. It meant observation. June stood abruptly. Guards. But the two men at the doorway hesitated. Zara's calm authority unnerved even them. Min-jae pleaded quietly. Zara, please, let's talk alone. There's nothing left to say that your actions haven't already spoken. She stepped back from the table, gathering her shawl. Your family's words didn't just hurt me. They ended whatever future we might have had. The patriarch snarled. If you breathe a word of this. Zara met his glare evenly. Your empire relies on secrecy. My silence was a gift you never deserved. Consider it revoked. With that, she turned and walked toward the foyer. Min-jae scrambled after her. Wait, don't go like this. Outside, the monsoon had intensified, rain sheeting down in curtains. She paused under the portico, turning once more. I loved you enough to stay quiet through every insult. You loved your family more than you loved fairness. That's the end of us. He reached for her arm, but she pulled away gently yet firmly. Goodbye, Min-jae. She stepped into the rain, letting it soak her completely as she made her way down the long driveway toward the gate, where a waiting auto rickshaw idled. Behind her, the villa lights blurred through the downpour, but she did not look back. Her heart felt shattered into pieces too small to mend. Yet beneath the pain burned a cold, clear fire. Betrayal had stripped away illusion. What remained was strength she had always carried but never needed until now. Inside the villa, chaos erupted the moment the door closed. Taesung barked orders in rapid Korean. Find out everything she knows. Track her phone, her contacts. Hygiene paced furiously. She could ruin us. June remained seated, face pale. We underestimated her. Min-jae stood frozen in the foyer, water dripping from his clothes, staring at the empty driveway. For the first time, the weight of his choices pressed down fully. The family he had protected had just cost him the one person who had seen him clearly. Zara rode through Mumbai's flooded streets in silence, the rickshaw's plastic cover flapping wildly. She stared at the passing lights, neon signs, street vendors closing up, couples huddled under umbrellas, and felt the first stirrings of a plan. She had always been good at collecting pieces. Art fragments, cultural threads, now evidence. The Kims had built an empire on hidden truths. She would dismantle it the same way, one careful, irreversible revelation at a time. Days blurred into nights in Zara's small Andheri apartment, a modest space filled with half-finished canvases, stacks of art books, and now a growing file of digital notes. She paced the wooden floor, replaying every overheard conversation, every glimpsed document. They thought me invisible, she murmured to the empty room. Now they'll learn what invisibility can do. Her Nigerian roots ran deep, generations of traders and storytellers who survived by wit and persistence. That resilience surged now, turning grief into focused purpose. She began methodically, Using a burner laptop and encrypted apps, she cross-referenced fragments she had memorized. Container numbers from manifests seen during a casual villa visit, coded names tied to Delhi contacts, transfer dates that aligned suspiciously with news reports of intercepted shipments. She photographed old notes she had taken discreetly on her phone during past evenings at the villa, innocent-seeming snapshots of paperwork left out. Each piece fit into a larger mosaic of illegality. Quietly, she reached out to trusted contacts built over 2 years in Mumbai. First, a journalist friend from Delhi who specialized in organized crime exposés. Over encrypted chat, "I have credible leads on a Korean origin syndicate operating through JNPT port and beyond." She sent redacted samples, no full exposure yet, just enough to gain interest. Next, an ex-Mumbai police inspector now working private security. He owed her a favor from an art event she had curated for his daughter's school. "This stays anonymous," she insisted. "But the names are real." He reviewed the files and whistled low. This could bring down more than one house. Meanwhile, the Kim family scrambled. Raids had not yet come, but tension mounted. Taesung doubled security at the ports. Hygiene monitored Zara's social media obsessively. Jiun pushed for a preemptive move, perhaps intimidation, but Min-jae argued against it. "She won't talk if we leave her alone." His father sneered, "Naive boy, she's already talking." One evening, Min-jae appeared unannounced at Zara's gallery during a quiet setup for her upcoming show. The space smelled of fresh paint and possibility. He stood among the half-hung pieces, sculptures blending African wood with Korean ceramics, and looked smaller than she remembered. "I need to see you," he said quietly. Zara continued adjusting a spotlight, not turning. "You saw me at dinner. You chose." He stepped closer. "I was wrong. I was weak. I thought protecting the family meant protecting us. It meant protecting them from me." She finally faced him. "You let them tear me down in a language you knew I might understand one day." Tears welled in his eyes. "Help me leave them. Start over. With you." For a heartbeat, the old pull returned. The memory of Goa nights, shared laughter, tenderness. But betrayal had rewritten those memories. "No," she said softly. "You don't get to rewrite the story after the ending." He reached for her hand. She stepped back. "Go home, Min-jae, or what's left of it." He left without another word, shoulders slumped. That night, alone, Zara finalized the package. Anonymous emails to multiple agencies, Customs, Enforcement Directorate, Mumbai Police Economic Offences Wing, containing timestamps, container codes, bank transfer trails, witness statements she had gathered indirectly. She hit send at 3:17 a.m., heart pounding. Within hours, alerts began. Preliminary inquiries launched. The first domino had fallen. By morning, news trickled in, whispers of port inspections, frozen accounts. Taesung's name surfaced in closed-door meetings. The empire, so carefully constructed, started to fracture under its own weight. The downfall unfolded swiftly and mercilessly. Within 48 hours of the anonymous submissions, coordinated raids swept through key locations. Mumbai's Jawaharlal Nehru port saw containers flagged and opened under floodlights, contraband hidden beneath legitimate cargo. Delhi offices linked to the syndicate were shuttered, computers seized. Bangalore laundering fronts, shell companies posing as tech consultancies, were raided at dawn. Headlines in the Times of India and Hindustan Times screamed variations of the same story. International crime ring busted in multi-city operation, Korean origin family at center. Taesung was taken into custody outside the Bandra villa, handcuffs clicking as cameras flashed. He cursed in Korean, vowing revenge that would never come. Jiun vanished briefly, attempting to flee to Singapore on a private flight, only to be detained at the airport. Hygiene, ever pragmatic, turned state's witness within days, trading details for leniency. The once iron empire crumbled into headlines, court filings, and frozen assets. Min-jae disappeared from public view for a week, then resurfaced in Goa,
the same beach villa where he and Zara had once dreamed of forever. He found her there one late afternoon, sitting on the sand watching waves crash. She had come to clear her head, to let the ocean wash away the last remnants of pain. He approached slowly, hands in pockets, looking hollowed out. "It's over," he said quietly. "Everything's gone. Appa arrested. The business dismantled." Zara kept her eyes on the horizon. "I know." He sat beside her at a careful distance. "I should have chosen you that night. I should have stood up. You didn't." Her voice was calm, almost gentle. "And now you live with that." He swallowed hard. "Is there any way back?" She turned to him then, really looking. The man she had loved was still there, buried under regret and loss. "Some things break beyond repair. Your family's hate broke us long before the raids." He nodded slowly, tears falling unchecked. "I loved you. I loved you too. But love without courage isn't enough." She stood, brushing sand from her dress. "Take care of yourself, Minjae." She walked away along the shoreline, leaving him sitting alone as the sun dipped low. Months later, Zara's gallery in Bandra opened to acclaim. The exhibit, Threads of Two Worlds, drew crowds eager to see sculptures and installations that fused African vibrancy with Korean restraint, Indian color with universal stories of resilience. Critics praised the depth, the emotion. Friends from Lagos flew in. Mumbai's art scene embraced her fully. She stood at openings with quiet confidence, no longer hiding any part of herself. One evening, walking alone along Marine Drive as the sea breeze carried salt and promise, Zara paused to watch the sunset paint the sky in oranges and purples. The city hummed around her. Honking rickshaws, laughter from couples, vendors calling out. She had lost love, yes, but gained something fiercer. Self-possession. The words once used to diminish her had become the spark that set her free. In the end, silence had been her greatest weapon. Not the silence of fear, but of strategy. The Kim's empire had fallen to their own arrogance. Zara walked forward into her new chapter, heart guarded but open to whatever came next. Mumbai, with all its chaos and beauty, had become home. Not just a place, but a testament to what one woman could rebuild from ashes.